Hello everyone, happy long weekend. Hopefully it's a long weekend for you. I am lucky enough to have 4 days, although I do have a paper I'm supposed to be writing, and surprise, surprise, I'm procrastinating. Because that's what I do. Thank you, ADHD. It's not even that much to write, I'm just not doing it. But it'll get done. I have several days. So yeah, I'm talking today about being out at work, but in the context of when you're job searching and applying for jobs and interviewing for jobs, and if you're visibly LGBT or queer, and like how to handle it, I guess. Or this is partially me working through how I want to handle it, quite honestly. Like, that's what this is about, because I've started applying for jobs and there are some great opportunities. I have an interview next week at my dream job, and I have kind of an advantage in the sense that it's at the site that I work at, and at least some of the people in the interview know me, and so they already know about my identity, and like, it's not been an issue at all this year. I have not had a single student comment or ask me anything about like using mixed as my honorific, or like make a comment about wearing like more masculine clothes or anything, like not even in passing, which I didn't expect them to care for the most part, but I'm surprised like no one has, like, they're so oblivious to it, it's unreal. But I do work with some kids that are queer, and like, I'm pretty sure they get that I'm queer, and so like that's important, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So here's the deal. First things first, I have to decide what to wear to these interviews. Actually, I'm gonna back up. First thing is, on my applications, there was the option to indicate your gender, by which they, of course, meant your assigned sex. But I just chose to leave that blank, even though I recognize that the legal spelling of my name, which is Carrie, is going to appear as a feminine version of the name to, like, the vast majority of people, and that's okay. But if I walk into the interview wearing a suit and tie, that is going to send some bells off to some people, most likely, right? So I'm trying to decide, like, do I wear a suit and tie because that is an appropriate thing to do as someone who presents very masculine, who wears ties once or twice a week at work anyways. It's not part of the dress code. Like, the school dress code is super casual for teachers. Like, we have jeans day every Friday, we just wear like school colors. There are teachers that pretty much wear them every day anyways, so whatever. Do I just, like, I may just do like a button down shirt and a sport coat, and, you know, like a sweater or something, a bit less obvious. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to work through like what's the best way to present that and how to talk about it, and if to talk about it. And I think at the situation I'm at now, where I'm in this building and I'm working with these students, and with administrators who are, they're fine. They don't care either. Like, literally, I can't express how much no one really cares what my gender identity is. I mean, they're great about using, like, they actually really, I think, get a kick out of calling me Mix versus like using the Mr. or Miss. And most of them are pretty decent about pronouns. There's some people that could do better, but they're making a genuine effort at least to get better at it. So at that interview, I feel like I will be pretty comfortable talking about things like the importance of being visibly queer to queer students, how that makes their experience better, and they know they have safe spaces, and it adds to the diversity of the staff, all those types of things. I think I would be comfortable in any interview talking about that, but you never really know what you're walking into. And so then you have to make the decision of, is it better to hide that part of yourself, wait to see if you get hired, get a contract, and then maybe bring it up, and then face discrimination on the back end and have to kind of work through that? Or do I just want to know that up front, so I know to avoid those positions, but I'm not going to really be in a position to not have a job next year? Like, I'm pretty much working for free. I have no income for a whole year, which means I'm also not putting any money into retirement savings for a whole year. And that's a risk that I'm clearly I was comfortable taking because I did it. That means I am expecting to have a job next year. So if I just shifted oddly, it's because I got a phone call in the middle of that. Yeah, like, one of the things to talk about is, like, if prospective employers have any concerns about, like, me as a person, or like if you're interviewing, like, it's a good question to ask, like, what concerns do you have? I definitely think that saying Like, there's part of me that if they don't say it, like, I kind of want to bring that up. Like, do you have concerns about the fact that I'm trans? And then I can talk about all the things I just said about, like, the evidence to show that support and how it does add diversity and, like, all of the benefits to having a trans-identified person on your staff. And that some of those are obviously very specific to education, but in any field, it's important to have diverse staffs. There's a huge push for that in most companies right now. So it is like, there's this part of me that's like, well, it could be a huge benefit if I talk about it in the right way, but I also would not want it to cost me a really great job opportunity, not just because I like need income, which is a huge reason, but also because I love what I do and I wouldn't want to be excluded from having the opportunity to work with like a great population of students and staff because one person on a hiring committee is transphobic or even just unsure or afraid of what other people's reactions might be, like parents. So that is something I am pretty sure, like I said, I'm working through what I want to do really by making this video. I'm pretty sure I want to talk about it in that context. I think that will work to my advantage. Again, like, I am just, I'm comfortable being myself, and being like the odd person out in situations is fine with me. Advantage of being a middle child, perhaps, I don't know. I feel like I've been talking about birth order a lot this week for a different topic, but quite a lot in general. Anyway, yeah, so there are like these things to talk about, like, what do I do if a parent questions it, or a parent says, I don't want my student exposed to someone who's transgender, which is terrible and unlikely where I, like, geographically where I'm at, but it's not impossible. And unfortunately, parents have the right to be giant bigots like that. And I actually think the district I'm currently in, I feel fairly confident they would support their staff, like any of their staff in that situation, but they legally don't have to. So it's just kind of, it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to weigh the pros and cons of, like, there's real value in being trans in a school building where you have students who are going to be trans identified, they're going to be LGBTQIA something, and having those visible adults, like there's evidence to show that that is a huge factor in students feeling safe and comfortable being themselves at school. There's the fact that you don't know who you're going to work with and what kind of prejudices they are going to hold, and if you want to be in a position of always having to educate other people. And I am still currently in a place where I'm fine educating other people, talking about gender. Not everyone is, and you shouldn't have to be. Like, you shouldn't become like the token person to answer every question about being trans if you're not comfortable doing that, and you probably will in that situation. Anyways, those are some of the things I'm trying to work through as far as what to do in my interview situations. Still not 100% certain. I kind of like fly by the seat of my pants a little bit, and I didn't even talk about like pronoun usage. I'm going to introduce myself with pronouns. I'm gonna guess I won't, not even as an intentional thing, but because I'm bad about doing it, which I need to make a different video about that. But that's something else. Like, if you're trans, do you even tell people your pronouns in an interview? Did you just blow the interview in like the first 5 seconds if you do that? I don't know, hopefully not. I'm quite certain that even though some of the things I talked about are education specific, that I talked about a lot of things that you have to worry about and think about and figure out what to do when you're like LGBT and interviewing for jobs. So I hope that you found some of this helpful, and it was not just me being completely like self-involved and rambling about what I'm gonna do starting next week. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you later.